I'm Sam Eckmann of Gold Derby, and I am sitting here with one of the fan favorite stars of the series, Younger, Molly Bernard. This series, we're in the seventh and final season of Younger, and I would just love you to speak on, as you look back, thinking of how everything started, how do you think Lauren has grown and evolved the most as the series has gone on?
Oh my goodness. First of all, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me. I She has really had an evolution. I feel like, first of all, it's kind of a mind trip to even fathom that, we just wrapped a series that went on for 7 years. And so to like think back to season one requires like a bit of like mental gymnastics. I think she has blossomed from kind of like young, very like young millennial to a large and in charge businesswoman. She has her own like PR firm, and she's thriving as a woman. But the greatest joy for me in Lauren's evolution has been her. My favorite compliment to give to someone is, "You're very much yourself." I just think it takes a lot of, I don't know, something chutzpah and something it has to be working in there to just like be yourself. And I feel like that is Lauren. She was always herself, and now she's just even. There have been no trying moments, right? She's been steadfast at that, and I think it's rare that you see a character like that on television, and that's been the gift of my career, playing someone that strong. So that's my answer.
It's a great answer. Something I enjoy a lot about it is that even though she has grown and has gotten, stronger and more confident, I would say, she still is, she can still cause a scene. And you get these great moments, whether it's, coming down from the ceiling at your birthday party, or where she is in the pitch meeting, she interrupts the pitch with the really overblown and seemingly awkward pitch for her own
The outing,
novel, A Flies a Story.
yeah.
Um, do you, when you get those scenes, do you enjoy being the scene stealer? Do you get excited when you read those moments?
I love this question because the like humble part of me wants to say, "Oh, sure, yeah, no, no, I eat it up. I get those scenes, as like emails in our inbox, and I read the script and I die when I see those scenes. I just feel like I know that for the writers, Lauren has been an excellent vehicle because she can do and say anything that they think up. And I sometimes think what fun it must be to have a character like that on a show. And I'm not actually like that. Like necessarily, I'm kind of I don't know. I'm pretty neurotic. I'm pretty weird. I'm a little bit nervous. Like Lauren is not that at all. So it's kind of this great escape to. I'm down for anything and everything on set, and I love that my job, like that's what I signed up for. So even if I'm having a bad day or a low confidence day, that doesn't get to happen on set, which is kind of fantastic. That's really why I say like this has been a gift.
Yeah, good outlet. Have you noticed with the writers as the series went on, was there an evolution in sort of how they wrote for you and how they, leaned into your natural qualities for Lauren?
Absolutely. I first noticed it in season two when new scripts started to come in. And I guess I, when playing Lauren, ad libbed some bizarre little entrances into monologues or delivery, and I would say things like, yeah, no, no, yeah, no, yeah, no, and they started to like write in that like Lauren tripping over her excitement and revving up. Um and they it's a symbiosis. Like this is also the real treat of being on a show for this long, is at a certain point the writers are writing for the actors, and the people, like the viewers, are watching for the characters, not necessarily for plot. And that's what's so wonderful about episodics. And yeah, I feel like I'm always flattered when I see a little bit of myself in what the writers have written. It's always like, oh, and I can always tell what writer has written what episode. They all have their own unique voices, and it's so fun to just, I can smell it out. And I'm like, oh, Allison wrote that for me because she knows I went to Dinah Shore. That's why she did that. That's like both are, it's a compliment and kind of a casual troll. Like, haha, I know where you were last year.
And she's your character is so quick. You often enter or exit scenes as this very rapid fire force of nature. What is sort of the key to delivering that dialogue?
Oh boy. I think part of it is that I'm a nerd and I went to the Yale School of Drama. And so I have this training in form and structure and Shakespeare. And, one of the adages that's taught at the Yale School of Drama is value your structure and follow the form. And so let's say you've got like a 2-page Shakespearean monologue. Just follow it and ride it. Follow the argument and hop on, and like the writer will take care of you and will create an exit for you. And I think because that's just kind of ingrained in me, the scripts are so good and they're just so solidly, they're just clear directions that if I just follow the directions and then let my like freak flag fly a little bit, and it's just that perfect mesh of
Mm-hmm.
it's that alchemy that works.
Yeah. Since you mentioned your training, one of the cool facts about you is your grandfather actually co-founded the Lee Strasberg Institute, which actors everywhere know. So did you grow up all the time in that world? Was this always what you wanted to do?
100%. Yeah, I learned how to read going to his acting classes. And he actually taught, like, his special course at Strasberg was cold reading and audition technique. So I didn't do a play until I was 14 in high school, but I had been doing scenes and monologues and auditions, audition technique classes before then. And it was really just my grandfather was babysitting me, but I fell in love with it and it became my outlet. And it's the only thing I've ever wanted to do. And thank goodness I'm, not so bad at it. I can like work as an actress because I don't know. I don't know what would be going on with me if I didn't have this.
Yeah. One of the moments from this season I loved most, I think, where you get to express her wacky side is when you're pretending to be Debbie Mazar's new partner at that dinner and just totally messing with her. How much fun was that? As fun to do on set as it was to watch, and like how much room was there for kind of play and experimentation?
I have to give that one to, really, that was like Jennifer Arnold, our director of that. She just understood that scene. And Janine Garofalo is a national treasure, and Debbie Mazar is just like the queen of all queens. So the room was so we were running on a really tight time budget. We were kind of up against the clock. Hillary's due date was quickly approaching. Nico was going on to shoot another show. So we were shooting 8 episodes at a time. I was actually on both sets that day, block 2 and block 3. So I was working from like 4 a.m. until 2 a.m. It was nuts. But that's really why I remember it, because it had reached, like, I had been up at a point, I like was past my nap time and bedtime. So like the witching hour really kicked in, and Jennifer Arnold just like, sniffed that out. And she was like, oh, okay, yeah, it's game on. And Jennifer was like, Molly, you do what you need to do, right? Like the scene is yours. And so I remember, I was like, okay, I'm going to do this thing with Debbie, or I go over and I touch her and I get in her. And I was like, I'm just going to let the physical story tell the script as well. And, that scene, it's funny. It's so funny what like sticks out. It's magical to me that you pointed that out, because that scene was so special to shoot. And I haven't actually watched it. But I'm so glad that you like picked that out, because that scene was really fun to shoot. We really were given a ton of permission to play the scene and more. And that doesn't happen every day on every set. And when it does, it really means that they trust you. And like, that's a high honor to work with these legends and like be a part of that party, be invited to that. So it was great.
Yeah. Well, I highly recommend watching yourself if you can do that. It turned out really well. And the other thing with this show too is that I appreciate that all the queer characters are allowed to have many facets of themselves, which is not always the case with every TV show, because sometimes those characters are just defined solely by their sexuality. Is that a refreshing thing to play? Was that always the case with this show?
I'm very proud to say that it has always been the case with Lauren. I think something that I'm so proud of, both in my career and very proud of Darren and the writer's room for doing, is they've made a character who is queer, but it's kind of the least interesting thing about her. It's never been tokenized. She's not, Kelsey's queer best friend. She's Kelsey's like wild best friend. And I think there's so many other descriptors that kind of Lauren leads with than her sexuality. And I think that our show was actually really ahead of the times in terms of normalizing queer representation, because I'm interested in watching shows and characters where their queerness is, that's not what's leading the show, or the narrative of who they are. And I mean, they wrote this in 2013. I auditioned for this role, so good on them. Like I really do think they were a bit ahead of the curve at that point.
2013 is a long, it's a long time to be with a character, an explored character, as it's coming to an end. What would you say you'll miss the most about this experience?
It's a hard question. I It's a bit surreal sitting here. It's so I had just graduated. I auditioned for a 6-line guest spot on the pilot. Darren really liked me and wrote me into the show, which is like, what? That's crazy. It's like nuts to think about that, because that's how I got this job. And he began my career, and I feel so lucky. And once I got over feeling, the pinching myself of it all, and the luck, and and the freak out, and the insecurity, all of that, I began to learn from everyone. And I will miss that love and collaboration and creativity that was on our set. And it wasn't just our actors, it was our writers, it was Darren, it was Jackie DiMaterio and Pat Field who did our costumes, it was our sound guy Matt. Like it was we pretty much had the same crew for 7 years, and that's amazing. Same ADs, most of the same directors. Like, we just had a team, and I will miss that. Like, I'll miss my job. I basically kind of had an office job for 7 years in this one way. If you think about it, like, it was regular. I had the same coworkers. It's in that way, it's a dream, but it also created the foundation for who I am as a castmate, as a person on set, as a collaborator. And that's just, as I said earlier, it's the gift of my life. So I'm going to miss it.
Well, as we think about, or as you think about that foundation you have as a cast member, after you've played this for so long, what now, looking forward, what projects are speaking to you? What have you really been hoping to explore after this great experience?
Sam, you're good at these questions, dude. I am so thirsty for something hard and kind of crunchy and spooky, and not as effort. Not, if Lauren was effervescent, I want to go into like a heaviness, a darkness, not even necessarily drama. That's obviously where I want to go, but there is also this excitement in me to just, I am a character actress, and that's just what it is. And it's so, I feel so lucky because I can play many different types of people, and I just want to let that pendulum swing. And it's interesting. It's interesting to like see scripts that I like, but also say no, like that's actually too similar to what I just did for 7 years, and someone else will like thrive in that. So um, I've it's kind of amazing to be at a like turning point in my career where I can be a little picky and interested in my whole ability as an actress, and really like start to use in a different way my Yale training and explore many different kinds of people.
Well, that sounds like a great plan going forward. So congratulations on a great run with Younger, and we can't wait to see which types of characters you dive into next. So everyone who's out there watching, make sure you subscribe to Gold Derby, keep up to date with us throughout this season, and thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Thank you, Sam. You're the best.